Christmas, happy holidays.
Too much audio.
Kwanzaa, I think, is a thing around this time. Hanukkah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh my God.
welcome back
Merry
to your
Chrysler.
holiday episode of the Producer Lounge,
Merry Cribman.
your weekly music production broadcast, brought to you by Always 400.
Yeah.
Folks, up front, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah,
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy upcoming Chinese New Year.
Kwanzaa.
It's in
Kwanzaa.
February, but
It's about to be 2024. This is the very last episode of the year.
that is true.
Wow.
For 2024 series begins.
Folks, as you can see,
Same.
I have a hole blown out from the center of myself in the shape of a Christmas tree, and Austin is a cow.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh, you're.
he is indeed a cow.
Yeah.
My cow body.
Merry Crimbus,
I have transcended.
Merry Chrysler, Fervor, shout out.
Oh, Fervor in chat. What's
shout
up, buddy?
out, AJ Skater, thanks for the whiskey.
Yeah, we were taking shots earlier.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Folks, I hope everybody's having a good holiday week
Holiday week.
and had a good weekend.
I just saw that. I want to give a little quick shout out to Ghost House. He was doing a Christmas contest
Oh, that's right.
and just
Yeah.
did all the judging on Christmas Day last night.
Oh, nice.
It was a fun turnout. I watched like the tail end of it because I was doing family dinners and shit. But
Fuck yeah.
You had
Sure.
2 winners, right?
yeah, 2 winners,
Nice.
2 wieners?
2 wieners, dude.
He
He was DPing the stream. You know what I'm saying?
DP. Oh god. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out Ghosty Boy. You guys know him. You love him. He's been on the pod twice now. 2 episodes. We did a collaboration on one of his streams for a sample pack contest.
Sample pack cost.
Good content.
So, what's up with production, my guys? What you got? What's
What's
God
production?
Damn.
what's the news since clipping? You know, what's coming in from the east?
Try not to make sure I clip too much.
Oh,
When
okay.
I'm using-
Over
when I'm
clipping.
using that.
Over clipping is a good
I
topic.
don't know. I mean, it seems pretty useful for specific dynamics, but a lot of the times, like, you just have a sub
Okay.
on the track, and you don't really.
Here's-
like, I feel like you don't need.
Here's a
maybe?
fun thing. What happens when you have just a sub? So it's a sine wave plus maybe his brother's, like maybe a harmonic or 2. Nothing crazy.
Just a little bit of like
But
table position.
yeah, you want him dark. So then you clip him to the point where he distorts, but he's nice and clipped. But then you just low pass him again. And then you keep doing that.
Okay.
What happens? Does it eventually become like nice and tight, or does it just repeat?
At a certain
are you
point,
just repeating?
I
repeats.
feel like it's gonna repeat.
Right, with
Like,
some phasing because you're kind of low passing in the same kind of pat
I
spot.
feel like it's kind of like the same. I don't know. Maybe it's not because if like you're using OTT, you just keep doing the same thing and like dropping it like a little bit more, but like still trying to add on to it.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
I
Sure.
don't know. I mean,
Sure.
I don't know if it cancels itself out at that point.
What would
See,
you?
it kind of does, but it does sound kind of different. Like if you do that process of like the clip it,
Right,
then
you're-
filter it, clip it extreme, filter it. Like
Yeah, you're like pushing
at the end of the chain,
it more. I would think
it sounds different for sure.
You're pushing it closer to a binary state, I would think. Like either it's on or it's off. Like there's no dynamics at all. But it's still dark.
Your
but-
3 harmonics on your
But
sub
if you
are just
look, at it,
It
if you look at it in a scope, like in a oscilloscope, when you low pass
oscilloscope, dude.
yeah, an oscilloscope.
Yeah.
When you low pass it, it goes from square back to just a sine every time. So it's like,
Yep.
Are you doing anything? I don't know. Dave?
Fuck no,
Do you
you're
have
not.
Are
Any
you
thoughts?
doing anything? I mean, it depends on how low you're low passing, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not.
You kind of get something, even if you're fully low passing it down to the fundamental. But if you have all the harmonics still showing up, then they will be making more harmonics. And then if
Yeah,
you use the same exact clipping algorithm, whatever, it's going to be a similar clip the next time around. If you use like a different kind of distortion on one of the passes than you do on another, then you could get a little bit of juice
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
I guess
It'll be different.
I should preface this with the goal I'd be trying to achieve is not adding harmonics. I'm not necessarily trying to add harmonics. I'm just trying to get the sub to a more binary state.
I mean,
okay.
okay
You know?
with the
Yeah.
harmonics being there. I guess if I want.
Yeah, like I guess the adding the
I don't want
harmonics is
those-
fine, but that's what the low pass is for. I'm just trying to get to a super binary
Okay,
state of a dark
yeah.
sub, basically.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I didn't go to the masterclass thing, so I didn't really like get everything. he was
Meatbag,
saying.
that is a good question.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's also fair.
Gender
I don't
fluid?
think Meatbag did either, though. I don't think any of us
Gender
did.
fluid.
Nah, he was there.
Oh, he was?
He gets it right.
Oh, okay.
Meatbag was there for sure. Yeah.
Meatbag's there for almost all things, I would say.
He's
Probably.
just he lurks in the shadows. He's there in the darkness, watching
Question
over.
is,
He's
was
like
he,
Batman.
Yeah,
was he
he's
there for
Batman.
the Kennedy assassination?
Probably.
I would
Oh, maybe
assume
he
he
did.
Yeah.
would be.
Maybe he
Yeah.
did it.
He could have been on the grassy knoll.
He could have been. Yeah.
Only Meatbag could say, which he keeps to himself. Understandable, but
Don't let the FBI in.
Do you do this?
No. I've always thought about it. I've never tried.
Wait.
yeah.
I would
Low
think
passing,
that
clipping, low
Oh,
pass,
I would
low
think
pass,
you
low
would
pass,
get-
skip.
I was like, wait a minute.
you would get some phasing in a nice way,
Yeah.
a little mellow amount of phasing,
Right.
and it would be as long as you don't have all the same. As long as you're not just duplicate,
Where it's not perfectly the
Right.
same
it's
every
the
time.
exact same thing every time. Then
Yeah.
you're going to get more and more phasing each time,
Right.
Yeah.
which then will give you something that doesn't feel just like woo.
Couldn't you kind of do
Right.
that
You
just
know.
by like
Right.
detuning
You get
it
like a
bit
little bit
or
of
something?
Right.
Like you could probably use like just
got like tension
detune
or
or like
something.
hyperdimension on it a little
Yeah,
bit. To,
but
like,
that's-
get that kind of same effect, right?
Maybe, but then once you start
But we're just
pushing-
talking about sub only right now.
Just
Yeah.
sub.
Yeah, and I'm talking about prepping it for the long road ahead that is the mix, basically. Like, especially if you just have a sub alone, is it better to do something like this where you're trying to beef it up into a binary state, or do you just leave it the fuck alone until the mix stage and you just
Well,
level it?
I guess on the last
don't-
song I just showed you guys, I did put shade on my sub with like a
Oh, wow.
little bit of just a kind of EQ movement, dumb shit, right? Like I can't exactly remember what was on it, but I don't know. It just kind of gave it some like filter movement.
Shade is filtering.
Yeah, it's a filter
And-
plugin.
It's got
It
like a
sounded
shape.
cool.
It's got
like
combs.
Oh,
I-
you can.
Put it on LFOs. It's
I
got
did
little-
use one of the
Yeah.
presets on
Shade
it.
is sick, actually. It's a lot of fun.
It's like a filter
wasn't really doing
table
much.
Yeah.
of sorts.
yeah.
But it's more
Yeah,
like,
it's like
it's got
Volcano.
like an EQ
Gotcha.
on it too,
Yeah.
so you can really like choose what you want to cut out at that point.
Right,
With,
right.
Like how you want to do it. If you are making your own like patches, it's really fucking confusing, and like to make your own shit actually work on it is like a lot because their presets are confusing as fuck. Like there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's
There's a lot, right?
Luckily, I just used one that was like simple, where it just was like kind of resonance and like pushing it up on the high end, kind of giving it just like a high end filter movement. So I don't know. I popped that on, made the sub just have a little bit more.
But your
movement
sub
on it.
have some noise on it.
It did. Yeah,
Yeah.
it did still have
There
the
you
noise
go.
on it. So
There you
the
go.
filter movements with the high end did kind of like give it a little bit of I don't know, presence, I guess, instead
Right,
of it
right,
just being
sure.
sub and just hitting the same note.
I feel like
But that was like specific for what I guess I was going for.
Oh,
at that point,
totally.
too, right?
I love putting fucking noise on my subs and then doing
yeah.
filtering and distortion to that.
It gets you some nice, fun, high end sounds that you might not
Yeah.
get if you
Very
can do it.
808y
Right.
and wubby at
Yeah,
the same time.
exactly. That's what we want.
I feel like the answer is yes, though. I think if you get that sub in a place where it isn't perfect, but it is fat as fuck as you can get it, it kind of will slip in through the gaps a little bit easier. I don't know.
Like if you were gonna detune
makes sense
or
to me.
something like that,
It makes sense
Just
to me too.
slightly push it off, or like maybe just pitch it in MIDI control or just something like that.
Well,
Kinda, like
yeah.
give it a little bit on offset on
Well,
purpose too.
yeah.
Right. Like
The two things.
that would definitely work.
You want it humanized, but you also want it fat as you could possibly get it
Right.
through whatever measures, whether you're just compressing it to death or it's being clipped or limited, but still keeping its character, however you're managing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, that's the thing too. Is like I don't really compress too much, but I do saturate. And now that we're doing the clipping thing, I feel like that's almost kind of the same thing.
Right.
Like not entirely, but you're chopping the high ends. Or not even chopping the high ends. You're just chopping shit, just making it nice and flat.
Jet,
Everything through a mold.
Jet in the chat.
Just in the chat, by the way.
What up,
guys.
Jet?
I don't know. It's a lot that you can do to your sub that I've just been realizing recently.
Sure,
Like,
Dude,
To make
if
it
you
more-
start doing shit to it, you got to be aware of it because it's like kind of the like main part of everything that's going on.
Right.
one of my favorite things in the way I like my process of making a song is typically I'll use like a separate sub and have that own channel for whenever I need that. And I'll start with like a very, very simple patch, like just a sine wave or maybe a sine wave with like another like 2 or 3 harmonics or something just to give it some girth or something. But my favorite part, yeah, let's go. Shout out Eliminate.
Hey, that's white supremacy, dude.
Oh my God. Dude, it's Christmas.
What power, dude.
AC.
Yeah.
Why
careful.
not? No, that's the thing on the knee, right?
Yeah, but it's not on your knee.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been.
Could have been. But my favorite part is like I'll make a point to make a really like static, like very simple sub thing, and then later in the song after it develops and you have the idea of like where it should go, my favorite part is always like, oh, I get to go in and play with the sub and add some like pitch bends for movement.
Sure, yeah.
Add some like volume automation, distortion automation. Vibrato sometimes, and like bring the sub to life, like make it really like flow with your track up and down. Like that part always it gets me going, dude.
I can
Gets
tell
me
by
going.
this
I
sound
love
of
it.
your tracks.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of what Shay did for mine. I was gonna have like a weird, like pre-drop with the sub, and it sounded boring. And then I put Shade on it, and I was like, "Well, this sounds cool." And then I listened to the drop with the sub on it without Shade. And I was like, "This sounds boring."
It sounds like
So then I just
stagnant and lifeless,
carried
right?
it over, and it just added a little bit of movement. To
Yeah,
it, and
yeah.
It worked out pretty well.
One of the new techniques I've been playing with subs is typically with like an 808. You have your root note. Let's say it's just an E, and a lot of the times it'll pitch from like 12 semitones up or 7 or 2 or whatever, and it'll have that downslope, right? But typically it just goes into your root note. What I've been playing with lately is going a little bit under the root note and then
Oh, so
bringing
it's
it
like-
back up to
So
the
it's
root.
like detuned a little bit for a sec before it hits it. It's
Exactly.
like it dips down and then it kind of comes back, so it gives it a little bit more of the actual movement. Of the
Exactly,
pitch. Oh, that's
exactly.
sick.
And
Yeah,
it gives
because
it
I
this
like
weird
literally
feeling-
did that same thing where I was pitching mine from like the like there's the step up above that I went to the root note. So it started like not on the root, pitching down into the root. But I guess I could have dipped it a little bit and then went back to the root.
And
Oh,
they
that's fun. That's
both
cool.
both options sound great.
No, that sounds fun.
But,
Though. Like,
yeah.
just to get a little bit more movement in it.
And yeah, there's something about like, especially I use it a lot, like on the ones of your loops or like each bar. Something about it just like dipping a little bit lower and then pumping up gives it this weird like bounce feel,
Wait for what?
and it's very natural.
So-
with
Pitching the sub.
He's pitching his initial pitching of the sub like an 808. Dear,
Yeah.
just slightly below the root and then coming back up to it.
Instead of going just straight to the
Which I
root,
think is
so
a great
it's like
idea.
that.
it is, dude.
I don't do
feels-
that,
And I'm
that
gonna start
sounds
doing that
cool
now.
as fuck.
That's,
Yeah.
that's great.
It's
a great fucking thing.
Sounds
It's
like
a
it would
new
work.
thing I've been
And
doing.
that's so
Dude,
easy
it
to
works
do, too.
so good, and
That's
it gives
so
it this
easy.
like, it adds this like weighted, like heavy feeling where it like it droops a little bit and then sucks
Ooh.
up. Like
Well,
it's very
you're already pitching it,
organic the
right?
way it
Like-
like bounces.
Like if you were gonna
Yeah.
be playing like a fucking violin or something like that, and you did the same thing.
Yeah,
you wouldn't
exactly.
Exactly go from like E to F, right? You'd maybe be like fuck up a little bit, go like a little bit above or below.
You're doing
So
that
I
with like
guess
an
it-
LFO or automation?
Automation just,
Just the-
manually like
in the MIDI.
a little
Manually.
more annoying, but like you get that like
Yeah, I can make
perfect,
an
like-
LFO
Well, I mean,
for
you're
it.
just doing.
You could.
You're just.
I like doing it manually though, because you have that like perfect like I want it to like
Yeah, you're
at
just doing
this specific
in
spot on my
this
note
one
like
moment.
down right there. Yeah. But
Yeah.
with an LFO, I'm sure you could make it happen.
If it was like a momentary thing, like one bass note,
yeah.
I would probably do it with automation as well.
Exactly. That's what I'm doing. It is like out of my
Transposition,
4-bar
right?
loop, it's like just the very first note will do that.
Right.
So I'll just like,
I usually
automate it.
do more automation in those moments.
Yeah.
And then for longer things, I'm like, how do I
Droop.
put random on this
Right.
in every way so I don't have to do a bunch of automation?
Yep. Yeah, that's my favorite shit. I'm just trying to figure out, I don't know, how to just make things feel organic and natural, like something we've talked about a million times.
Yeah, like
When Tazba was on,
It's definitely hard
Tazba.
with subs.
it is and it isn't. Like it's a
I
weird
feel like
concept
it
to
kind
think
of depends
about
what
at
you're
first.
going for too. Like you could just be doing the like NPC feel.
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
that's not what we're really trying to go for. So
Exactly.
It makes it a little bit more complicated.
And it's funny, you can go back to episode like, I don't know, what, 80 or something. It was the night after we saw 2 bass artists at church.
it was the night before Christmas.
Tonight before
And all
Christmas.
through the house, not a sub was stirring.
Oh,
Not even a whoop.
not
Not
even a wub.
wub.
Not
Wow.
even a whoop.
That
Or maybe it
doesn't
wasn't that
happen.
night that triggered it, but it was around that time where we started like realizing like, oh, a lot of subs are like stagnant.
Right.
And it's funny, I've been getting into, well, I've
right.
been
We
into it,
saw
but like
Sinistar and Chi, right?
Saruda and
No,
Chi.
Saruda and Chi.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
sick. You guys,
Dude, it was
oh,
great.
fuck
Yeah,
that.
but it
It
was
was
at the
great.
church, and it was just like,
yeah, but
Yeah.
still,
eh.
still.
I mean, yeah, it was
no,
fine,
love
but
to
it
see
just
them.
Ever since that night,
like
though, like
them.
I personally have been like thinking about subs and like movement with subs.
Excuse me.
And like every time I listen to a future garage track now, or like that kind of vibe track,
Right.
I'm consistently noticing like the stagnation in all of their stubs, where they hit the
That's-
note and then maybe it fades a little,
Yeah.
and then they hit another note. But
That's
it's like,
something
oh,
I had
you could do
kind
so
of a
much
problem
more.
with when I heard that Boys Noise song. It's pussy, but it's like the V instead of U. It was so yeah, pussy, right? But
Russian.
it was so fucking simple. It was just like a break beat at like 1:30, and the subs just hitting on the kick. But I don't know, they found that fucking sweet spot.
Yeah.
That just what fucking worked so well.
Yeah. Caleb and I were talking about this earlier, I think.
It's hard. Sometimes that shit just happens and it works for them.
We saw a D&B night at the church, which is where we saw Saruda and Sinistar or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Was
Chi.
it Sinistar?
No, it was Chi and Saruda. Yeah.
Chi and Saruda. Badass motherfuckers.
Badass motherfuckers.
Love them.
Big
sound
ups.
was awful as far as the sub in the room is just too. It's literally just turned up too much
we
for
felt
the room.
we felt that immediately when we went there. Like it was
but-
it was pretty easy to
Right.
fucking point that out. But it still sounded like fine and
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
was still
But
good.
but when we were watching this drum and bass show, they would drop a Noisia tune, and it didn't matter anymore how bad the room was.
Did matter.
Because they
The
just
room
so good at
just
mixing.
it flipped to sounding so fucking good.
The room bowed.
It was so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
the
we
room
were-
just went like, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't control this.
Yeah.
It just is.
Let's fucking go, dude.
Yeah.
Just
That is mastery.
the
of
subs were
sound.
just like stopping and shit and like crispy fucking
And
those dudes have been at
smashed
it for-
there was a good amount of sub to mid bass similarity. So-
ratio.
No, like there was no like I don't if they were using a separate sub underneath their like mid basses, they were automating it so they were together the whole time. So if like the bass sound did a pop pop pop, the sub doop, boop, boop, it was right there along with it, which to me makes me just want to always have a sub in the tone. Like I'm
In
not
the
a big,
sound, yeah.
I'm not
Makes
a
it
big
easier.
fan of having a separate one unless it's that
It is kind
style,
of a hard.
but like for
hard
the most
thing to
part, what I make,
differentiate.
what I make is that.
Yeah.
And hearing it,
Yeah,
just
I don't-
make the room bow. Is
It
just
was
like,
insane.
Okay, everything needs
I'm
to be.
sure that was insane.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's where you realize like you can do it. You can make a song that's gonna sound good in that shitty room.
Yeah.
It's just boy, man, you
Being
gotta
so
know what you're
aware.
doing.
Well,
Yeah.
we're
That's
talking
what we're
about
here
people-
for, folks.
Yeah. We're
Pay
basically
attention.
Noisia, right?
Our
dude?
shit does slap.
No, we're not. We're not.
Yeah.
But
We've listened to our
aspire.
shit in clubs. It does
I
slap.
mean, we're also
Yeah.
talking about dudes who've been making music for basically as long as I've been alive.
Yeah,
for,
literally.
you know? So
Right.
But-
that's kind of a lot. Right?
another thing
Like,
to remember
they
too
get
is
it. They
Wait, I'll
just
be right
fucking
back,
get
boys.
making something that there goes the cow.
Hi, Austin.
You fat ass.
You fucking.
One thing to keep in mind is when you have something that loud, that's that pushed, that's forcing the room like that. If the song itself sucks,
That's true. Yeah.
So this
I
is
mean,
just what-
this is a lot of like you know, taking the actual like songwriting aspect. And,
Right,
like,
it's a
making
big
sure
factor.
it works with the mixing and
right,
like,
or it just works
you know,
in general.
like-
Because you can have a good song that's poorly mixed, and it's still a good song.
mhm.
Yeah.
But you can have
People
a
will like
shitty
it.
song that's really well mixed, and it's just still a shitty song. Like
And
it doesn't
I
matter.
mean, I do like.
Sure.
I feel like on a weird aspect with like indie music or some shit like that, you will find the opposite with like a shitty song that's like, well, not like a good written song that, like with a shitty mix and like people will love it, but then like you
Right,
have
that's
like
what
a
I'm
good mix, but then
saying.
like a shitty song and like people will still love it,
well, it depends.
and they'll be all like,
It
you know,
de-
because you look at like
It's a spectrum.
yeah, and it's subjective, but like in general, a shitty song, if it has like a good mix, it's just a commercial mix,
Mhm.
and it's like
It's just gonna be
that's
okay.
that's the best it can be.
Yeah.
right,
You know,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, 'cause, like, Bob-
somebody slaved over that and then lost sleep because they were like, "Oh, that song is so bad."
Yeah, they call it
It's-
polishing a turd.
I feel like
exactly.
you know might get some flack for this, but like Bob Dylan and stuff like that, you know, like same kind of thing, you know,
Or, yeah.
like even
Like
though
he
they
could make better songs. I know what
Probably-
you mean.
probably could, you know, and that's not
Maybe.
to say that the songs that he did are not good, but like
I
don't
not
know.
A big, Bob
That was the joke because
Dylan
you
fan.
were saying that the mixes aren't good, right?
yes,
Exactly.
Yeah, and
so
I was saying
the
that-
opposite thing.
Yeah, I was saying the mixes are great, but the songs are terrible. Meatbag, those are some fun settings.
Meatbag was saying to put the sub through multiple tape machines
Oh, the fathead's back.
oh, there you go.
to
Or the cow.
The cow. The cow has returned.
But what he's talking about with these tape settings
Mm-hmm.
is basically clipping to an extent, but you're kind of just
Yeah.
distorting. But it's basically doing the same thing. It's help squishing everything together and pumping everything and making it warm and loud. And then you can catch some peaks.
Yeah, I like on a sub. As we're talking about sub, I'm happy to keep this conversation.
Yeah,
going, by
let's
the
talk
way.
about
I love
subs.
talking
Let's
about
do it.
sub.
Let's go.
I've been fucking around with talking about or with doing some distorting and shit of my subs, and then putting some width on whatever the more mid and high end harmonics are, and just having a little bit of harmonics there, but then having them wide within the like mids and highs
Oh, you know, there
as a way of like getting them out of the way of everything, but also kind of leaving something there
there was
from that sub.
this one song that I was working on a while back. I was using one of the Zen World presets.
Okay.
And he has the macro
Shout out.
set
Beep,
for it's an 808.
Beep, beep.
But he has the macro set on
That
it
ninja.
where I don't know what it's fucking doing. It's just like a width knob basically.
Okay.
And when you turn it up, like
Width.
you know, just gave like a bunch of weird fucking unison to the low end,
Mm.
and it sounded sick because I was automating it for just to hit on like the one, and then the rest
Oh,
of
nice.
the sub was just like normal. So that one had a bunch of like width and
That's fun.
On the
extra-
sub?
on the sub. Yeah, well,
Whoa,
I'm not
he's
gonna say
breaking
like
the rules.
It's not like
Let's
a complete
go.
sub, like it's an 808.
Yeah.
but like still kind of a sub.
That's
right?
fulfilling the subs role.
So like there was just a macro knob on there. I don't remember exactly what it's doing,
Very
but
small knob.
it just gave it enough width that it. I don't know. I gave it this weird fucking like oomph that just hit
Yeah.
on the
Mhm.
one, and then the rest of it kind of came afterwards. And then
Was it super fast? Like, doop, just like
it
a
was
transient?
well, it was the way that I was automating it too.
Oh, okay,
but
nice.
like, yeah,
Were
so
you
it-
automating it pretty fast? Like,
Yeah, it was just literally like on the kick. So
Yeah,
like the
nice,
sub
nice.
was following, or the 808 was following the kick. So
Right,
it was just
that's
only
fine.
happening at that point. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't like a reverb thing or anything. It just
No,
kind of
no.
hit on that one transient and just like did a weird width thing. I don't know. I'd have to look at it again, but
Yeah.
it was cool, and it was something that I didn't really think would actually work because I've always been like thinking about that Christmas tree thing, right?
Yep.
But I don't know. It sounded sick. So
Yeah. If it, dude, that's the golden rule. If it sounds good, it is good.
yeah,
That's
I
like
don't know.
all that really matters at the end of
I'm
the
sure
day.
it'll
you know?
sound weird in a club.
Yeah, but it sounds good to good ears.
yeah,
that's true.
That's
That's
the
true.
caveat.
And also, like, I feel like in theory you could get away with a stereo sub as long as it collapsed to mono.
I don't
like,
think you wanna-
relatively properly.
yeah. I don't think you want to push it too much, right? Like you
Yeah.
you don't want it to be that like the entire time.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Just
Yeah,
like little-
specific moments.
I don't know, flares or some shit like that, where it just happens.
I think, don't quote me on this, but I think in one of Tipper's songs, Flat Ripple,
Okay.
in the very intro, he has this weird little like pulsing moment. And I think his sub goes stereo for like 2 of the notes for a sec, where it just like widens up all crazy.
That could be an
So-
accident, or that could be intentional. It's like really hard to say at that point, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Especially
true.
with him.
I would love to hear about like Tipper's accidents in his songs that he's released where he just overlooked something. That would
Yeah, right.
that would give me I know, right? Exactly.
No, I'm sure it's there.
Yeah.
That,
There's gotta be
or just
some.
not even overlook, just the one thing he thinks he could still work on. Like, the
sure.
hi-hats just
I mean, he's
still, I
well
don't
known
like 'em.
for reworking his shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when
Like,
he plays live,
he
like
plays live show. He reworks it. He plays it again, different. Where he reworks it, and then eventually you get a song.
yeah, yeah. There's like 7
So he's
VIPs.
kind of working it out, you know. But it would probably be like a really good comedian just being like, "Yeah, I wish I would have fucking threw a couple extra tags on that joke."
That's a good point, right? Yeah. And that's a bonus of like people who have the opportunity to play live where they can test shit out before the release.
Right,
I'm
right.
so
Totally.
jealous of that.
Yeah.
Oh my
Totally.
god.
Yeah.
You can do that.
You can do it.
I could do it. You're right. You're right.
you
You got
have
plenty of people you
plenty
can
of
sing your shit
opportunity
to.
to
Just
do
fucking
that.
go and listen to it.
right.
Like Kyle or fucking Eos.
Like
It is good too.
Yeah.
It really works.
Yeah.
You will really hear everybody hating it or loving it.
yeah.
I hate it. I love
You're
it.
like, "Oh, that's not it yet."
That's
work on
not
that.
it yet.
So, at what point
It's a musical.
this is something I constantly go back and forth on
Back
is
and forth,
I like
back and
to
forth.
if I'm doing like a separate sub in one of my tracks, I like to typically use just the first harmonic, second and third harmonic dedicated for my sub channel, and then everything else is cut at like 100 to 200 hertz kind of and then up. So you have that space for the 3 harmonics. But at what point is it like bad to have more harmonics in your sub that kind of overlap all your chords and melodic stuff? Or at what point is it good? Or is there a bad or good?
It's for me. It's totally up to the song. Totally up to what's interacting with
Yeah,
what.
that's kind of a loaded question.
It is. It's very low.
I'll-
Yeah.
My rule of thumb is I don't worry about it
I don't
till
use
later because a lot of times, like if I have an 808 for my sub and I have a mid bass, sometimes the 200s overlapping is actually what helps the track kind of get a lot of fucking
like body or something.
nutsack and stuff.
Yeah,
the moment I, like,
nutsack.
I high pass
Elf
that
sack.
mid bass too much. It's like, oh, now it's like deflated, and then I feel like I
Yeah.
got to turn
Yeah.
the 808 up, and then I'm like,
True.
well, now it's not. That's not right, you know. So sometimes an overlap is good, depending. You know, it's up to your ears at the end of the day, but also just watch your EQs, and like if you notice those start piling up on top of each other, then act accordingly. But
Makes sense.
I like a
definitely-
little bit of overlap.
You could also do like a as I'm not doing this on a regular basis by any stretch of the imagination, but do like a filter for whenever something comes in that gets in the way.
Yeah.
You just and it filters down and then it comes
Oh, then
back.
bring it
I'll
in
do
when
that
it's
with an
You could do it with a
supposed to.
modulator.
Okay.
Yeah, I just do that with an EQ a lot of times.
Yeah, push it down for the moment.
I did.
I mean, in the mixing phase, you'll want to do a bunch of
Yeah,
shit like
exactly.
that.
Right. Yeah,
exactly.
it's
That's
gonna
why
happen.
and I saw John do it. He like used an EQ as a filter, and I was like, "Ew, John." He's like, "No, it's easy." And I was like, "Well,
he says anything's easy, but
that is easy." But
It depends on when you
especially
guys
if you
try
want
it.
a clean, like non-noticeable one, because he was using Pro Fab, and it's got a 6 decibel, and Bitwig's EQ also has a 6 decibel, which is a really nice slow roll off, and it's really nice for if you just need something to basically back off without it voluming down. Just and without it being
Super
filtered
noticeable.
out. Yeah. None of that. It just kind of goes away.
That's
which is
I've never
fucking pretty
really
nice.
tried like
True.
filtering my subs in with my like top basses
No?
or anything
Pretty
like
good
that. Most of the time I just like try to make sure they're not happening at the same time, or like if they are, like, you know, all the like low ends cut out of the top
Right,
bass,
right.
so the sub's not fucking like
That's fair.
phasing or anything like that. But I mean, just like I said with this last song, like giving a little bit of movement to the sub has been fun and
Sure.
helping a lot. So I don't know. It's scary trying to like phase those things together. Probably need to be paying attention to like mini meters or fucking flux more, some shit like that, just to make sure it's not like phasing too much or anything like that. But I generally don't really do that too much. But like I said, I just like make sure that shit doesn't like hit at the same time, so it's not phasing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is where I'm kind of confused on how to like try to make those things work if they are happening at the same time and like delegate. This is also something that I've been like, I guess this may kind of make sense with the same thing we're talking about, but like low end from toms on your kicks
Yeah.
interfering with your sub.
Yeah.
That's something I've been trying to figure out, because like, you know, we've been like seeing this Justin J stuff and everything like that, talking about like, oh, you can make a song just like out of 909 and everything like that, and like use all the shit in that. But like, what if you do want a separate sub to do something else, and then like the 909 toms are like super fucking bassy and are like conflicting with that? And I've been like trying to kind of figure how to like mesh those together to make sure like this like sub low end from the toms is like not conflicting too much with like the actual bass, to make sure it's like going there, but at the same time like not cutting out all the fucking low end from
Right.
the toms, so that they still sound like fucking toms.
So how would you guys approach that?
That's
How
a
would
weird
you
thing. I know. I
blend
feel
it or
I
balance it?
diverged a lot from what we were talking about, but
That's fine. It's a podcast.
You just look at your sub on an EQ or whatever, where it gives you the readout of the range of the EQ. You see how much of low, mid, high, and shit is in the sub, and the more there is in that sub, the more you would have to kind of
compensate?
fuck with things. And then you choose whether you want the tom to be more focal or the sub to be more the focal point.
So I guess that's more just
The
like
tom's usually not going to be in the sub range
Right,
almost at
yeah,
all,
it
and I would
shouldn't-
cut out
it
most of
shouldn't
the
be.
sub range of a tom, or all of it usually. Like I don't know, like
See, that was
a
the weird
tom doesn't
thing-
really have sub
Yeah.
I guess the low
being
end
like
is
lower
more what
than
I'm
like
talking
80
about.
hertz.
Yeah. They're typically like 100 to 150 if they do have that like
Right.
if it's like a digital tom, yeah.
Maybe I'm just cutting too much low end out of it when I'm trying to fucking.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. If your tom, like, you could allow your tom to go easily into the 200s. Now, mind you, a lot of like 909 toms are very bottom heavy. So if you're not careful, it's just.
Yeah, and then that's fucking
yeah.
with your
that's
sub
that's
or
where
whatever else.
well,
is
it's
going
just
on.
messing with the whole
thing too.
gain stage of the project, because now fucking 200 hertz is the loudest thing, and it hits your limiters first, and it's weird. That's where saturation and EQing, like pushing that down or
Same with the-
boosting your highs.
Same with the clipping thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, don't distort your tom, but they can be quieter than you think they should be,
Chop
probably.
it a bit.
Yeah, chop what you can, but it will distort pretty quickly because that
Right,
200 range is really hot. That's why I say shelf down that 200. Don't cut it.
Don't
Just
completely cut
yeah,
it.
just shelf it down, and then
Okay.
work it into a
Yeah,
clipper.
because I think that's the problem is I've been trying to cut things.
And automate the EQ so that if the toms continue into like a breakdown or at some point where there is no sub and there's no bottom end, then you can kind of maybe
You
bring
just
some of
fucking-
that 200 back in.
God
and stuff like that. So then it
Okay,
will
that makes sense. Yeah.
carry. But that can go across for almost
Well, that's just
anything.
that's just movement.
Yeah,
in
you should be
general,
EQ
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
automating a lot of things for various purposes.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I've
Yeah.
been having a lot of trouble with
At
that
one
lately,
point or
just trying to
another.
make sure that shit works. Because like, I remember on just this one like throwaway track that I was working on with the toms on it, like even though it wasn't mixed very well and it was just a loop, when I took the toms off, I was like, this sounds so empty now because all the low end from the toms
Right.
like aren't on there, but it
Right.
with the toms on it,
Shelving.
it feels bloated
Just
as fuck.
shelf the lows.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
it constantly. I probably overdo it these days. I feel like I'm noticing that where I'm doing a little bit too much of pulling out my fundamental before I distort.
Yeah.
There's like a balance there, and it's a thing you have to just like kind of grind on to find out what kind of works in the way that you like it the best. But yeah, pull the fundamental out with like a bell, even like I like a wide bell, just so it kind of ramps everything else up, and then distort it, and then you could play with that amount of pushing down up and down before the distortion or the clipping or whatever, and yeah, and then just cut out that fucking super low end.
Yeah.
And if you really need to, go and sidechain the fucking tom to the sub in the mid range, so it kind of gets out of the way in the mid range when the tom hits.
Yep.
only.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Sure,
that's also something
sure.
I've been fucking up on too. Is like just even having that mindset of like, oh, you can sidechain
It takes forever,
differently for different things,
dude.
and it doesn't always just have to be the kick.
This
and,
is
like, that's
also
it. Like you
why-
can do different things and like sidechain it differently, and it like can help a fucking lot.
This is why
100%.
It's a lot
right?
to think about.
Yeah,
It
it
is.
is.
It
It
is.
is. It's not something that just comes to mind right away. Like,
Yeah.
No, this is why we've talked about having flashcards that have
Yeah,
a bunch of
yeah.
random
Oh.
topics. Like,
Oh.
Damn it.
have you tried side chaining it? You're like,
Oh,
oh yeah, okay,
no.
you know,
Or
it's
try
very
multi-band sidechaining.
Right,
Yeah,
and
we'll
you
do
have a
it.
bunch,
Yeah,
and
we'll
they're
do that
very
now.
arbitrary.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
can use them for creative work. You can use them for mixing.
That's a good
You
idea.
can use them.
Yeah, dude,
we-
we'll
some
make
way
those
we-
one day.
There's somebody who could make like a program that just like does that.
Oh, dude,
Where
I
we can
bet you
just,
we
like,
could.
when we're like on our computer, we just like,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
I'm
we
bored,
have-
boom, and it's just like, did you do all this shit? It's just
That
like,
There's,
probably
no, I didn't.
exists.
Oh, it does. Brian Eno, as far as I know, was the first person to do this, and it's the oblique strategy cards, which is what he calls
Dude,
them.
let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Brian Eno
Nice.
says.
And you can buy it as like a physical pack. I think it's like 100,
Totally.
200 cards. Maybe I'm just throwing out a number.
Right.
But there's also an online version which is free, which is I literally
we
have
should
it in my
fucking
tabs.
We should try that.
Yeah, I'm so
I
down.
don't
Yeah.
think we've done that before. That sounds
And-
fucking sick.
His is a fun approach. I feel like his would be a little bit different than like if 400 made a pack.
That's okay. I mean, we'll
His
go,
is very much just
I-
creative process
I
and
trust
like
him.
songwriting process. Like there's no mixing cards, you know.
I feel like he's almost, this may be controversial, but like an actual fucking Rick Rubin, where like
Yeah?
homie's been doing
Throwing
this
the
shit.
shade. Oh, my
Homie's been
God.
actually fucking doing this shit and like making music and doing shit instead
Whoa.
of just fucking sitting there talking about it.
Folks, we're gonna edit that out. Don't worry about it.
bleep,
That's
bleep,
getting
bleep.
edited. Rick,
I don't know, man.
I
No, that is actually a
Rick,
valid
Rick,
one.
Rick, he's
about
not actually
He's
one of the
kidding.
hosts of the podcast. So
yeah,
it's
don't
fine.
worry about it, Rick.
Yeah.
It's
And it
just a
is funny
guest.
though, because like Rick Rubin, he always says like I don't know about production and
Yeah,
shit. I'm just
exactly.
like
He
a
doesn't. He
voice in the
doesn't.
room.
Make you disappear real quick.
No.
No.
I'm
Yeah. Well, you got some over unders for the end of the
Are
pod
we?
here?
Oh shit! Are we already
Baby,
there?
we're-
I had
You've
two
You've been
topics I
writing
didn't
some
even
stuff.
hit. Let me. They're not over
We're
unders,
just 10 minutes out.
but damn, that one went by quick.
Okay. Oh, I like
Zone.
these are holiday specials. Good thinking there. I'm gonna. My hat's pokey, folks. You can't see it because there's green
I
screen.
know you can't
mean,
see it.
You can't see it because it's see through.
Yeah,
It's magic. Magic cloth.
Holiday magic.
magic.
Oh my god, it's.
Oh, oh,
Aw.
I'm sorry.
Oh, adorable.
Do it again.
Adorbs.
Damn it.
This is intense.
Mm.
Also,
Questions came in tonight.
kind of surprised that he would ask this. I feel like
I know. You wouldn't think.
He's
but,
so
I mean,
humble. He's so humble.
He's a man of knowledge, though. You know?
Old Saint Nick
Are you talking about yourself
wrote
right
into
now?
the pod, guys.
Oh, you're talking about Santa.
Santa.
God damn it.
Santa wrote in for the pod.
Yeah,
Chris
fucking
Kringle
my
himself.
ass.
He's trying to
God
get into
damn it.
production.
He is.
yeah.
He's been emailing us for the last couple of months.
He's got a lot of work on his hands.
So he sends in a formal question here.
B-Bag Collector says piss, too.
Ho, ho, ho! Using presets for effects or creating your own presets. Which do you do?
Half and half.
Well, Santa.
Well,
you.
Santa.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah,
that it?
fucking.
Okay.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Santa,
That's a good
the
question.
fuck off my bag. Jesus.
He's on no one's bag. He is the bag.
Well, I said back.
fucking
but,
Santa.
Back.
You know, that's fine.
Well,
Get off my bag,
I
Santa.
misheard you, so whatever. I will use presets to a certain extent. Usually it's something to build upon, or usually it's something to deconstruct. But I like making my own presets a lot. And they're usually built off of an old one that
Right.
that I've used a lot.
Sure.
But yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, nice. What you got, Dave?
I would like to be clear with
Let me be clear.
with the viewers,
All right,
Oh.
Obama.
in case they were confused in any way.
Right.
There's a lot of people that want to come on this podcast, and they're like, "Go get samples off of fucking whatever that website is,
Splice.
Splice." I use a lot of serum presets. I'm not saying I don't use presets, but
There's a time and place.
yep, you pussy. You're not making your own shit. Make your own shit. I use a preset because I'm lazy in one moment. Like
Yep.
what I'm needing to do is get an idea across. So I'll use a preset to just kind of find an idea.
Rough draft.
But I will oftentimes change that thing
That's
at the end of the
totally
day. I mean, it'll get changed in the moment, but then I will probably just completely change it.
Well, see, that's the
because-
thing that you're hoping with the most of the time is like if you're using a preset, you're not just like using it normally. You're doing.
I'm just
something
saying-
to it. So, but
Don't listen to those fuckers, people. They're gonna come on this show.
Yep.
They're gonna really stand up for laziness.
there's a deep.
You know, they're gonna
satisfaction-
really make a real grand. They're gonna put a flag in the ground and say, "You're allowed to be lazy."
I will
No.
say there's
It's
a
happening.
deep,
You are not allowed.
There is
You
like
are not
a
allowed.
deep satisfaction
Preach it.
from making your own fucking shit.
There is,
And
right?
It feels so great when you actually do that.
Yeah.
It's what art
Yeah.
is.
And you know,
art
like,
what art is.
Sometimes,
It's craft.
Sometimes it doesn't happen. Like, you know, you may not always be your most creative self, but that's
Yeah.
okay. Like, sometimes you have to take some inspiration, and there's something
Yeah,
wrong
you
with
have
that,
to
but,
not
like,
do it good in order to do it
when
good.
when you hit that specific spot, and it's just it's all you. It feels fucking-
Yep.
Exactly.
All right, what's your answer, Austin?
So I had a phase where I was playing with like granulator,
Story time.
spectral delay, and going through those presets are fun.
Sure.
They're very fun. You just instantly get a random fucking like.
Yeah, but that's not like a serum preset. You know,
That's
Like,
true. That's true.
That's just
Yeah,
like
it's like preset
You're talking
scrolling.
about,
But
it's preset scrolling, yeah.
like a Valhalla preset.
It's valid.
you
Yeah,
know?
It's
yeah.
valid to
So-
talk about that. It's another
Fair
style
enough.
of preset.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
different.
And there's a time and place to play with that, but yeah, inevitably, like you were saying, Caleb, is
Same thing with Shade.
I'll go through that preset and still just tweak it or play with it and just be like, oh, what else can you do with this? Oh, here's a new sound. And typically when I'm doing that, I'm like recording all of it into a mud pie and I'm just getting, like 5 minutes of me playing with the preset. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm half and half with it.
Okay.
I never save presets that I make, which is another thing.
I don't save all of them.
Yeah.
I'm bad about it, but I
never-
Definitely
probably
just-
should be saving them a little bit more just to
Yeah.
have them.
It's usually every like 4 months to 6 months. I'll have a good day where I like revamp
some shit.
Same.
the
That's
sub
exactly
that
what
I
it is.
use,
Yeah.
or like this or that, and I'll add
See-
things that I've been working on to it or whatever, and I'll make a new preset and then that's what it is for the next 6 months.
I guess to add on to it just a little bit, with all the like analog and modular gear, I don't really know what to say about presets at that point because like,
Well, there's no presets on modular gear.
I mean, there kind of are.
No,
Because
they're
I
not.
have
You have to, like-
I have my oscillator and I hit a button on it and it switches between different fucking waveforms and it's
That's
a
different than a
preset.
preset.
Yeah, but that's
though.
the same as
That's just
serum and choosing
a
which
wave
you
table.
want.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like you're almost kind of doing a preset.
I kinda see what
and
you're
then,
saying.
Like
Yeah.
fucking with it at that point.
No,
No.
it's just an oscillator.
You would
You're
really.
just choosing an oscillator.
A nail is
Okay.
not a preset.
right.
All right. Because
Right.
I always,
Okay,
I
A
always
that's a good
piece
way
of
to put it.
wood is not a preset.
I always felt kind of
Right.
weird.
Yeah.
I always felt kind of weird
Dang.
about that, where it's just like like what?
Yeah. No, I get where you're coming from.
I didn't
though. We
really
get where
know
you're coming
exactly
from.
what it
Yeah.
was at that point because it's like I'm not making this from scratch. But
Yeah.
like the people who like literally soldered this shit together
Yeah.
are making the original sounds, but then you
You-
have your fucking
Yeah, but
stupid
now you're
setup
like,
and
if I play the
everything.
saxophone, I'm playing a preset.
Yeah, right. I'm
Which
playing a
there-
preset
I
tone.
agree with.
That's
Pretty-
good.
Yeah.
But that's a different story.
That's,
You could argue that the wavetables are
see,
presets, but
that's almost I don't know.
And we're out of time for the
yeah,
question.
there it is. There
No.
it is.
All right.
We're done.
Next question. Thanks,
Lightning
Santa.
All right,
round.
we're moving on.
And this next one
Good
also
lightning
comes
round.
from
Right.
the North Pole.
another one? Jesus.
Yeah.
God damn it, Santa.
They're coming in tonight.
This one's
Santa,
from
you'll figure it out one of these days.
Yeah, Santa, don't worry. I mean, he's in luck because he's got a producer
You just
homie
got to grind.
up there
Yeah.
with
True.
him.
Yeah.
True.
He's got Rudolph
Dude,
Yeah.
he's got
And
he's got
Diplo, I saw.
fucking
and
Gu-
Diplo.
Yeah.
No,
well,
that's-
Diplo went to South Pole.
He went to
Wait, I thought it was.
but I'm
Oh,
sure
my bad.
Santa kicks
That's
it
like
down
the
there
same
here and
shit.
there. Yeah.
I mean, he
thought it was
goes all
Gucci,
over the
dude.
the
It's
world.
the cold place.
Gucci has like 5
All right.
songs with.
Next
Santa.
question.
The
Yeah.
next question
Yeah.
is,
It's Gucci.
Gucci.
I'm assuming he's, I don't know, he just writes. I mean, he just has a hoof, so I
He
guess
has a
he
hoof.
just like typed it in real quick and that
Yeah.
was it.
Rudolph?
Manual automation or LFO modulation?
What?
I'm assuming, I'm going to take that as which do I use more often?
Manual automation.
And I'm going to say LFO modulation.
oh, jeez, I'm gonna say manual automation if it's like just
What you use more?
manual.
We can go, what do we use
Well, that's
more?
because you're in Ableton. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. okay.
My answer, no matter what the question is LFO modulation.
It's
a good one.
one.
Shit.
if I'm doing a sound
It's because I'm using
design sesh-
Bitwig and it's way easier
So
in
easy
Bitwig
to
than
do
it
that.
is in Ableton.
You guys keep flexing, bro.
if I'm doing just a sound design session, it's LFOs all day. But typically, I've noticed I do just manually automate so much.
Well, like, what are we
Like,
talking
you
about?
know-
Like, because I'll manually automate the LFO.
We're not talking specific.
on.
Yeah.
So
This
are
is a
you,
broad
Are you
question.
drawing in automation lanes underneath your MIDI clips, or are you mapping things to LFOs a lot?
Under.
Okay. Yeah, so you're doing it manually.
Under.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Under the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, that doesn't answer my question.
Yeah.
Under. It
Under
does.
what?
It does.
We come from a
Say
land down under.
A or B at least. Just like, because
Under.
when you're mapping things to an LFO, you are at the bottom of the screen, so
No.
you're underneath the main.
Okay. Yeah. That
so
makes
that
more
doesn't make any
sense.
sense.
Yeah.
No, that makes
Oh,
sense.
the under of the track.
Yeah.
It took me forever
Yeah,
to
me
figure out
too.
what that
I was
means.
like, what are you saying under?
I knew
for?
what you were talking about, though, because I just figured it was the first one.
I got
was
you,
the
AC.
under.
I didn't use the terminology first.
Yeah.
Use the
y'all,
terminology
Y'all
right.
should just give it, just
Modulate.
change
Give it a sec.
change from
just
Ableton to Bitwig.
Oh God.
Hey, I will say, when it comes to the point that I need an upgrade, I'm not paying for Ableton, so
Amen,
I'm
brother.
gonna go Bitwig.
Shout out
That's right.
Santa and Rudolph showing up in chat today.
It'll happen soon enough.
So
appreciate it.
our last question comes in from our good friends over at Limp Bizkit.
Oh, Limp
Isn't
Bizkit
this
coming in?
Still just you?
No,
And
these are questions from
Limp
chat, dude.
Bizkit.
Oh, Limp
dudes.
Bizkit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Limp
Okay.
Bizkit.
Yeah, that's how you
Limp
spell it. Biz
And
Bizkit.
as we all know,
Shout out-
they like to be called Limp Bizquick
Oh.
because they all love pancakes.
They
They're
do love
huge
it.
fan
Of
pancakes.
Yeah.
Limp Bizkit.
If you're in the inner circle, you know.
Limp Bizkit.
Does that make it better or
I
worse?
want that shirt, dude. How good would a shirt
The
be?
limp pancakes.
Limp.
Oh,
Bisquick.
it's
And a
all
Bisquick logo.
soggy
Yeah, well, it's a
and
box.
It's like not
On the
cooked all the
sweater.
way.
That's gross. That's
great.
gross.
Oh, you're
So,
not selling
hey.
it. You're not selling it.
On to the question here, guys. The question is, Sub in D sharp, E, or F.
D sharp, E, or F? I'll go D sharp and E.
No, you get one.
You get one.
Oh, I thought it's D sharp or E or an F. Okay, I'll do D sharp. That sounds fun.
Okay.
I like low.
Okay.
Sounds cool.
That's a fun
A
answer.
low boy.
Yeah.
Austin, yeah, you go.
E. E is my favorite.
Oh?
I love it because E is like the perfect balance of it's deep, but then you can still do the thing we were talking about earlier where you get the like pump down and then back up.
Okay.
You can
E
hit that
is
D
nice.
sharp for a sec, but then come back up to your sustained E.
Get that D sharp for just a sec.
It's the sauce.
I went. I
Just the
not to elongate this too far, but I went and went through a drum and bass labels,
Story time.
Yeah, let's go.
a bunch of their songs, and went and made the melodies for each song, like the main melody for each song,
Okay.
in MIDI. Just because I was curious, like, okay, what are the kind of
Yeah, what are they doing?
Like
common
the
things that they're
notes.
doing within things? And I didn't find a lot of commonality, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's not it's not like super melodic for the most part. The most is like 3 notes maybe in like
Okay.
the melodicness of it. So it's usually like 2 notes or maybe 2 notes with a third that happens every once in a while.
Specific scale could change that a lot,
but-
though.
I saw one in C, I think,
No.
and I was like,
Well, hey, I mean, if that's their fucking root
Jesus.
note,
I mean-
and they're not going lower than that, and they're going
That's
higher,
nasty.
that's
That
fucking
is
cool.
nasty.
That makes sense. I
That
mean,
and if they don't resolve
that's
that
totally
often.
fine.
If they only resolve like
Yeah,
every
that's-
once in a while for a quick
Yeah.
second,
That's
you're not
okay.
getting that C very often. You're just
I mean,
getting it for a quick
one-
dump.
it really fucked with me because I was like, man, people be doing shit in C.
That
And
blows
I
my
feel
mind.
like I might have saw
Dude,
a B too.
honestly-
There's a couple where I was like, I'm not finding the
a
note.
B?
B sounds weird.
I've done B.
Jesus
One
Christ.
thing I
you have
saw-
done B.
With Nicky Nares, he does it in like G sharp and A.
Oh,
And
he's
then-
higher
and then he'll
up.
go
Interesting.
high and then hit a super low note
Right.
to like
right.
establish that low.
Exactly. It's,
And
great.
that's
It's
fucking
great for
sick.
club
That's
because
fucking cool, dude.
Yeah, those
Like,
high
that
notes-
works so well.
those high
Yeah.
notes just sit in the chest real nice.
Yeah,
They
it's
do.
and then
fun
when
in
it
the
gets low,
club, and
then
then
it
when it
feels
hits low,
so fucking low.
Right.
that,
it like
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it feels
it
so
changes
low.
the room when it hits low.
It does.
Yeah.
It's a
That's
it's
the-
a fun fucking. It's cool to know that you don't only have to work in fucking F, E, and like D sharp.
Yep.
E.
So, is that your answer? E?
Yeah.
E?
E.
Mine is also E.
Let's go. Gang, gang.
I'm a low boy.
All right, I think we did it, huh?
I think we did. We made it through it.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another amazing Christmas episode. This is our third Christmas pod.
That was
right?
the best one I
Yep.
could have hit.
Yeah. Our third
Hey,
Christmas.
give me a high five.
And we had a legend in the building with us. You've
Folks,
seen him on the pod
Von
before.
Klaus with us this
I
week.
am
Give him a
not
shout
a
out.
legend.
A legend in the making.
No.
He's got the signature 400 in front of his Instagram name.
true.
Yeah.
I'll say that much.
I have the hat.
Shout out, Meat Bag Collector. Thanks for hanging out, buddy, as usual.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge shout out.
Fervor,
We'll see you later.
hopping in chat earlier. We see
Yeah,
you.
Fervor. Jet, love to see
Oh,
you in
Jet was
chat.
here. I didn't even see Jet.
Yeah, I made a big fucking deal about it.
I missed him.
Yeah, he
We're too
did.
drunk, man.
Yeah,
Too
apparently.
drunk.
He's not too drunk.
It's all those eggnog
Folks, we're
shots.
sober. Merry Christmas.
No.
We'll see you guys
Merry Christmas.
next year.
2024,
motherfucker.
baby.
Oh, shit.
Happy Hanukkah.
All right, guys.
Hanukkah.
See you later.